Alright everyone, welcome back to the hero rankings by how much I recommend them to new players. There we go, perfect intro. No one has ever had a better intro. Anyways, let's jump right into it. Really quick, we're going to start with the anti-mage now. I'm going to put anti-mage at a 5-star carry, and we're going to be using the same grading scale as last time. So, number of stars based on how much I recommend it to new heroes. What anti-mage is going to do is very simple. He's going to buy a Battle Fury. He's going to shove out lanes safely because he's very hard to kill. And I want to go over really quick before we get too far into this, because we're going to have a lot of agility carries coming up today. So I think it's important to explain why there's so many carries in the agility category. Now, watch my health pool, because I'm going to show off what strength does first. If I buy this Ogre X, it's going to give me 200 HP. You're also going to notice that it also gives me a whole point of health regeneration. So I go from 2.3 to 3.3. This is because strength gives 20 HP per, and it also gives a little bit of health regen per. If you are a strength hero, you will gain 1 point of damage per 1 strength, so 10 for this. If you are an agility hero, okay, so the type of hero that you are gives you 1 point of damage per its thing. So int heroes get 1 damage per int, agility heroes get 1 damage per agi, strength heroes get 1 damage per strength. Agility on its own gives armor and attack speed. So if I look right here, my attack speed is 150. My armor is at 4. My physical resistance is at 19%. If I buy this is 10 agility. My attack speed is now at 162. My physical resist has gone from 19 to 25%. And my hero has gained 10 damage. This makes agility the most efficient stat, especially for any carry. You can just buy attack speed and damage and armor, which is a defensive stat, all in one. Whereas strength is just damage and HP. It's not attack speed. It's not armor. So, yeah. There's going to be a lot of carries in the agility category just because it's hyper efficient to gain attack speed and damage from the same stat. So with that moving on, with that said, let's move on to the rest of them. I'm going to kind of rapid fire through these. Again, anti-mages I'm going to put at 5-star for a melee carry. Arc Warden, I'm going to put him at a 3. His ulti gives him a clone of himself with all the same items and shit. This hero doubles himself. It's extremely efficient, so if you buy 1 damage item, you make a clone, and then you have a second hero who also has that damage item. His net worth at any point, you should think of it as him having twice as much gold as everyone else. He's very efficient, and you don't have to be too fancy with the micro. If your settings are set right, you use your ulti, and then you have your own hero and this hero selected, and you just click things, and they'll explode. Can be very simple. You'll want to get better with the micro if you play him a lot, but to start with, he's not a bad hero to learn on. Bloodseeker, I'm going to put him at a 3. His hero is extremely simple. Basically, as enemy heroes get lower and lower on HP, this hero gets stronger and stronger. He's pretty strong that way, but it's very easy to end up doing nothing useful as a Bloodseeker. If you fall behind or you itemize incorrectly, you end up extremely weak. So be careful when you're playing Bloodseeker. Bounty Hunter, I have him at a 2-star recommendation right now. I highly suggest that you stay away from Bounty Hunter until he gets some love in a patch. Right now, a lot of people focus on just stealing money with Janata, and the utility of stealing money with Janata is to keep the enemy support poor so that they can't afford sentries and dust in the laning stage, so that you can abuse your invisibility immediately after the laning stage. This is not how Bounty Hunter is currently played, though. So many people get caught up in the fact that he can steal gold, and they end up going out of position and dying a lot and doing almost nothing on the hero. His lockdown is pretty lacking. His damage is pretty lacking if you compare him to other supports. What he gives is vision. He makes it harder for the enemy supports to afford detection, and then he goes invisible and tracks people to give vision. But you have to make a lot of use of that in the early game, and you have to understand why it's strong in order to use it. So it's not super easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. So I recommend that you avoid Bounty Hunter. Brood Mother, I'm putting her at 1 star. Please, if you're new, stay away from Brood Mother for the time being. This hero can lose hard. She's very hard to master. She has a ton of little spiderlings, and the little spiderlings, when they die, they give gold. And if you're up against heroes that can kill spiderlings, or counter picks to Brood, or just good players, you'll die and do nothing useful on this hero. So please, unless you think of yourself as a micro master who played League for several years before you came to Dota, yeah, stay away from Brood for the time being. Clinks, I'm gonna put him at a 4 star, but we'll come back to Clinks because he's basically like a backup pick. If you wanted to pick Drow and Drow got banned, you could pick Clinks. So we're gonna do Drow first. Drow, I put her at 5 star.
Wow.
Drow is one of the best carries in Dota 2. Shut up, Windows, no one cares. Anyway, yeah, I put Drow as one of the best carries in Dota 2. She slows people, which makes her extremely good against all heroes in lane. If you ever get into an advantageous position with Drow Ranger, you just slow the enemy heroes by 55% and you just hit them an absolute ton. This hero gets to focus on building some simple items, and then she gets to just play around positioning. And positioning is key with this hero because she already has damage and she gives herself attack speed. She's very strong, so I highly recommend her. There's a ton to learn on this hero, fundamentals that you can bring over to other heroes, but right now she's very strong, she's very fast farming. Clinks, like I said, he's a bit of a backup Drow. He has invisibility, which I generally recommend newer players stay away from invisibility, because as you go up in MMR, enemy heroes buy detection, and then invisibility, the utility of it changes. So don't become reliant on it in low skill games as a form of escape and initiation, because as you go up, it will not serve you well there. But he is very strong, like I said, a backup Drow Ranger. Ember Spirit. In one of the last videos, I said I wasn't going to recommend any of the spirits to new players. They all have resources that they have to carefully manage, and they all have skill shots and things like that. Ember is no exception. His skill build is adapted based on exclusively who he's laning against and what he wants to do at 15 minutes into the game, and that's based on your lineup and their lineup. So already you have a whole bunch of game knowledge just in terms of picking what skills to level and how you're going to play this hero. That requires game knowledge that new players are not going to have. You also need to land Searing Chains and Sleight of Fist. Now, Sleight of Fist is pretty easy to land, but Searing Chains is not. You have to know how to use Flame Guard, when and where to use Flame Guard, and you also have to carefully manage how many remnants you have, and you have to itemize against the enemy team. He's pretty tricky, just a lot of things that you have to have nailed down. So I'm going to put him at a 2 star. He's better than Broodmother for new players, but yeah, he can be quite tricky. Faceless Void, putting him at a 4 star. It's a very strong hero. Has a jump of his own and a bash, which is always very nice. His ulti, a word to people who want to play this hero: please do not chrono your team unnecessarily. It's a big AoE. It's very easy to accidentally chrono your team, but it can be game losing. Most spells that stun the enemy team through spell immunity for 5 seconds are very, very good, and I'm sure the enemy team wishes that your team was stunned through spell immunity for 5 seconds. So don't cast this on your friends unless you absolutely have to. Just be wary of that. It can be game losing. Gyrocopter. I'm going to put him at 4 stars. You could pick this hero and take him into any lane. Go very similar skill builds, no matter what you're doing. The hero does an absolute ton of magic damage, and he can be a pretty simple carry to learn. Flak Cannon applies his auto attack to everyone on screen, so if you have damage and press this button and then hit something, everything takes a ton of damage. His spells are all very powerful. He is a little bit positioning dependent, and it's easy to go too deep with Rocket Barrage, but he's a fairly simple hero, and he's a pretty strong hero. He's also very, very fun. So 4 stars for him. Hoodwink, I recommend you play this as a support, specifically as a position 4. Now, you really want to make sure that you're abusing Scurry. Scurry lets you run through trees. You get free pathing through trees. Other people have to walk around trees, not you, because you're a squirrel. Alright? So you run through the trees, and you can use this as good positioning against the opponents in lane. Her main skill is going to be Bushwhack. It's a pretty strong stun. You do have to hit trees with it. I don't think she's the strongest hero for position 4, and she can be a little tricky to play for sure. She has a skill shot on her ulti and a skill shot on her stun, so if you're not very good at landing those skills, she can be pretty unreliable as well. Yeah. 3 stars on there. Juggernaut. 5 stars for Juggernaut. To be entirely honest, you could pick Juggernaut in any lane, any position, and you can make it work. This is a great hero to experiment with items on. You can build almost any item in Dota 2. You can build it on Juggernaut. I would recommend staying away from, like... there's fewer items that you should not build on Juggernaut than there are items that you should build on Juggernaut. And that's not true for most other heroes in Dota. He is extremely versatile, and if you get good with his, with just landing his spells, that can take you quite far. It's a very fun hero to play around with and experiment on, so I highly recommend Juggernaut. He's also a very strong carry if you want to look up and follow guides for him. He's one of the heroes that I will definitely do a hero spotlight on when I get through my intro to Dota series. Lone Druid, 1-star hero. Don't play Lone Druid if you're new to Dota 2. He has to farm, he has to win his lane, he has to farm very efficiently, he has to itemize correctly against enemy heroes, and he has to split push and play the map extremely effectively. It's a very hard hero to nail down. He has a tremendous focus on fundamentals of Dota, and if you're missing on any of those fundamentals, you just lose hard when you're playing Lone Druid. So I highly recommend you avoid Lone Druid. Luna and Medusa, these heroes play very similar. They essentially they hit multiple units with their ranged attacks. So with Luna, her attacks bounce, and with Medusa, she attacks multiple enemy units at once. Both of them use their ulti, and then the enemy team runs away, and they do a tremendous amount of damage during their ulti. Both of these heroes play very similarly. The only difference is that Luna is much faster with a straight-up damage ulti, and Medusa is much more durable with a more control-oriented ulti. These heroes, they play very kind of... they're distant sisters. Let's put it that way. They're distant sisters. They're both good in similar scenarios, and I highly recommend both of these heroes as 5-star ranged carries alongside Drow Ranger. Meepo, I'm going to put him in the 1-star category. You have to be able to control all 4 of his clones. You want to split them up. You got to ride a very fine line between feeding and losing hard or carrying hard on Meepo. It's a very tricky hero to have down. I do have a positive win rate with him, but I just can't recommend him to new heroes. New heroes? New players. Yeah, new players. Mirana, one of my most played heroes in Dota 2. She has essentially 2 skill shots that you have to be able to land. That's Sacred Arrow and double Starstorm. So if you position your hero correctly, when you cast Starstorm, a second Starstorm hit will hit one target. You need to land this on the right target, and you need to land arrow. So not the most friendly to new heroes. I did it again. Not the most friendly to new players, but definitely extremely fun to play. And if you get good at actually landing her abilities, she's a strong hero. If you suck with skill shots, my rating for Mirana goes down to 2-star. A lot of people will buy items to set up the skill shot on Mirana. At that point, you should play a different hero. If you absolutely have to buy items to consistently land the arrow, you should be playing a different hero. People, maybe they don't like that, but they do the same thing on Pudge where they rush like an Aetherland, or they rush like a Rod of Atos, rather, just to set up the hook. That's bad. If your support needs to spend 2,000 or 3,000 gold so that they can land their stun, you should have picked a different support. That's what I have to say about that. With Pudge and Mirana being some of my most played heroes, it's not worth picking a hero whose abilities you cannot land if you're playing support. In general, if you can't land abilities, you probably shouldn't play the hero. But especially for these two, because Mirana and Pudge, because people pick the hero despite not being able to land the skill shot. So yeah, be careful about that. Monkey King. I put Monkey King at a 3-star, and if you're going to try to play him support, I put him at a 4-star. Monkey King support is extremely dependent on vision, and if you're in the lower brackets, people don't know how to take advantage of vision. Their enemy heroes will walk at them under the mini-map, and they will not see them coming. Enemy heroes will walk up and ward, and no one will de-ward it. The enemy team won't use smokes, and that's what support Monkey King is very good against. The position for Monkey King, if you were a master at it, it would be wasted in low MMR. It's just what the hero does is not useful in low skill games as a support. He's a pretty strong carry though. And if you like the idea of jumping onto trees and pouncing on people, he can be very strong. So yeah, as a carry, I'll put him at 3 or 4 star, somewhere in between there. Yeah, be careful how you itemize, get a BKB, and he can be very strong. Morphling. Morphling, I'm going to put him at 1 star. Morphling can choose whether or not he has strength or whether he has agility. And the more agility you morph, the more attack speed and damage you do. He also has a spell that deals damage based on how much agility that he has, multiplying it by 2.5 times into magic damage. It's a bait. People who are low skill on Morphling end up dying like a pleb, and then they fall behind, and then they lose hard. Morphling is very, very difficult to master, and he's not even very good once you master him. The hero relies on picking off someone else and then efficiently being a strong right clicker on the side. One other thing to note about the high skill heroes, namely Morphling, Brood, Meepo, all the spirits and stuff like that, is that these heroes are not broken and unbalanced and strong once you master landing their skill shots. They're just strong in their own ways. It's like maybe 55% win rates on people who are masters of them. But that being said, there's also a 55% win rate on Juggernaut right now, and across most brackets, and he's pretty simple. So these heroes are not, the hard to play heroes are not broken or unbalanced in the hands of a master by any stretch of the imagination. They are balanced. It's just that they're harder to play. Their kits are more specific. So yeah, don't think that you're being locked out of some uber broken carry because I told you not to play it. Naga Siren. Naga Siren is a great hero if you want to start getting into micro. She farms using her illusions, so she wants to split up her illusions from herself to be farming multiple camps and outlying waves at the same time. She can farm very efficiently. She's not the strongest carry right now, so I'm going to put her at about a 3 star. If you want to learn micro, she's a solid hero to pick. But if you're not interested in learning micro, I would say probably avoid Naga Siren for the time being. Anyway, that's going to be the first half of the agility heroes. I'll have the second half of the agility heroes going up either later today or tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. I know these videos are a little bit low resolution, a little bit simplistic, not into very much detail on most of these heroes. I think it's important for new players who just want to get into Dota to have a mild suggestion on all of these, and then I'll be going into more details on heroes that I absolutely adore once I finish covering all the mechanics. And we'll get back into the mechanics once I finish all the heroes. So, anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you found this useful or you're looking forward to the content that I'm going to be making, please leave a like, comment, and consider subscribing. I'll see you soon. See you later.